the book. H2 on E2, glacial respiration, conceptual ring of ice, the end of linear Western religion. A geological exploration of an E2 Earth and planet, and the H2 human species. Author, B. Billy Mars, professional geologist. Solves the secret of the all-seeing eye and pyramid. This symbol is a modern hieroglyphic. The origins of hieroglyphics are based on the first written language, a pictorial alphabet, where images combined to tell a story or describe a name, place, or object. The importance of symbols in modern society are overwhelming. The hieroglyphic of the eye and pyramid needs to be separated and interpreted separately before concluding with an explanation. The eye is the oldest symbol to mankind. It demonstrates life. An open eye in hieroglyphic symbology demonstrates the presence of life. A closed eye is translated to represent death, the ending of life. The eye offers the first clue to interpreting the true character of the pyramid. The pyramid is a structure intended for the living, not a tomb for the dead. All structures built by man should be interpreted for salvation, salvation in this life, not the next. The Egyptian pyramids were never constructed as tombs. The physical structure proves the tomb theory wrong. See the drastic difference between an Egyptian tomb and the king's chamber from within the Great Pyramid of Giza. Pyramids are structures designed and built with the sole purpose of surviving a catastrophic climate collapse, termed glacial respiration. To uncover the climatic connection and exploration of ancient Egyptian structures and the type of governments that created them will be required. As it turns out, the oldest structures in ancient Egypt are not pyramids, but, in fact, colossal dams. These dams were built during the First Dynasty period, 5,000 years ago. The territory of Egypt was an unorganized group of city-states and tribal regions. These city-states were united into one central government by Pharaoh Menes, who is attributed to combining the Upper and Lower Nile kingdoms. Pharaoh Menes is the George Washington of ancient Egypt. Similarly, political control at the inception of the central government was spread to many people and various different religious groups. The city of Inebhej becomes the capital city, similar in representation to Washington, D.C. The city of Inebhej translates into the White Wall, although this wall was not intended as a fortress, for Egyptians did not fight from fortified walls. The Egyptian military fought and conquered in a field or theater of battle. The backbone of their invincible military was the most advanced chariot in ancient times. Combined with the composition bow, that could shoot twice the average distance for the time period. Behind a wall, this advancement in technology would go unused. Similar to the American experience, the city of Inebhej was renamed after Pharaoh Menes, and later interpreted as Memphis by the Greeks. At 5,000 years ago, the entire city of Memphis was encircled by a 48-foot wall named the Mennefer Dam. An additional colossal dam was built during this early First Dynasty period and was called the Sad al-Kafara Dam. These dams protected the largest population from the greatest threat: flooding. Flooding on a massive scale for Egypt was positioned along the world's largest river delta. Similar to the Mississippi or Amazonian river delta, these are extremely fertile regions. But agriculturally, there exists the danger of losing all the region's crops to flooding. This left the Egyptians extremely attuned to nature, their environment, and any historical or mythical stories of altering climates. Driving Egypt forward in time, Egypt becomes controlled by fewer of the population, with a dramatic reduction of diverse religious groups and worshipped gods. Many small temples and gods were replaced by few larger temples. The gods from the merged temples would have been dissected and reassembled with multiple attributes. The head of a falcon or sky god would be merged with the body of a fish, representing now the sky and ocean deity. A substantially more powerful god with a greater kingdom. It would seem offensive to pre-modern man to place the head of Jesus next to the head of Moses, both over the same body. But, for combining political control along with wealth, this was a common method for the times. As the political and religious government was controlled by less of the population, the next colossal structures built were only intended to protect few of the controlling elite. Imhotep, in the Third Dynasty, designed the first stepped pyramid for King Djoser. These structures would only protect the ruling elite of this society. These were environmental bomb shelters. The last advancement in pyramid design and construction occurred when Egypt was controlled by one pharaoh and one god. King Khufu, believed to be the embodiment of the one supreme god, Amun-Ra, the sun god. Pyramids were designed and constructed for salvation in this life, not the next. Construction techniques included setting the stones watertight, sealed doorways, a lower tomb to hold clean drinking water, and piping to extract excessive water. Maintain cooking and laboratory facilities, functional living utilities, copper and lap jointed brass drain pipes were connected with hammered seams. Not to mention elaborate air vents and an attached structure that acts as a flow draw, drain plug, system, or self-bailer. Similar in body to a dinghy bailer. This ensured that the pyramid remained dry and could evacuate the excessive water. When fluid moves in direction past the structure, it will pull water out of the hull. This type creates a back suction without the need of a motor. The Egyptian pyramid resembles in body and function that of a modern submarine, and are fully capable of completely submerging for a short period of time, safely rescuing the life of the pharaoh. At 485 feet, the Great Pyramids of Giza were built to survive more than just Nile Delta flooding. They were built to protect the king from a catastrophic climate event on the scale of Noah, or similar to the myth of Atlantis, comparable to the Babylonian epic of Gilgamesh, of which all take root in the early Bronze Age, from a Sumerian tale of Ziusudra. In fact, the Egyptians had their own story, tale, myth of creation. According to one Egyptian legend, the world began with an ocean of darkness. The sun god rose from the mud as a sacred blue lotus. Another version has a mound of dry land emerging, and the sun god, Amun-Ra, reappearing. Now that H21E2 has determined the Great Pyramids were intended for salvation in this life, the religious elements of these structures can also be explored. These structures were intended to restart civilization, reproduce the effect of the living God as a reenactment of their creation myth. The pharaoh was to perform his earthly duties and re-emerge on a mound of dry land. The only natural element capable of producing this catastrophic environmental effect is glacial respiration, a transitional climate which constructs a conceptual, suspended ring of ice. Airborne ice is the only environmental resource able to produce at this scale a massive and rapid flooding event. Glaciers and icebergs are extremely stable energy reserves and cannot melt at a rapid rate or rapid enough to produce catastrophic flooding. In conclusion, the pyramid and detached living eye from the $1 bill represents that the United States is now ruled by one king, under one God. And this one king and one God are actively preparing to withstand an oncoming, dramatic climate change event. The question left to ask is, the one ruler under one God preparing or planning? Revelations